KE5ICX. Can I get an audio check, please?
Yeah, Tom, go ahead.
Hey, BJ, how do I sound? Is this okay?
Yeah, it sounds great. A little tinny, but it's all right. It's, you're getting full quieting through the repeater.
Okay, thanks. I was getting a little paranoid. I wasn't sure. I tried to talk to some earlier, and I wasn't getting through, so I wasn't sure if it was memory. I got a little quiet. Appreciate it. 85X.
Now, Paul, somebody was on the repeater a few minutes ago. That like he was in the barrel trying to talk to somebody, and she was in a barrel. They were down Greenville, but I don't even think you hear me about it.
W5T. Well, thank you, BJ. You as well. Thanks for going on with you on the line.
And bouncing back and forth from my hometown to here. I'm going back in the hospital on January the 9th. January the 8th. And they're going to rebuild my whole left knee. I was coming on my horse the other day, and he missed his step. I was walking, he rode me off of him. My knee's on top of a shell rock, and I broke my knee.
Thank you, clear. Now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
This is Kilo Echo 5, India, Charlie X-Ray. My name is Tom. Always has been, probably always will be unless I get in trouble. And I'll be your net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we urge your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the pro sign, break, and your call sign. This is a directed net, so please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me this evening, and all stations are reminded to ID at the end of their transmission. Hey, hang on, I forgot something. earpieces, and a computer that I left over on the other table, because you need those things when you're on the radio. Okay, this is a direct net. Oh, I already said that. This weekly net operates on this frequency, in case you don't know what it is, 146.880 megahertz with a tail tone of 110 decibel minor. Check and see echo link are also possible using the W5SC-R station ID or Echolink node 37247. I see a few people over there on Echolink. We'll get to you in a little bit. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio video links are available online. You can go to the club website, which is w5fc.org right now for a complete list. Remember to tell others, hams or non-hams, about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate in this net. It is 90 minutes long and structured in several parts. They are, write this down, there will be a test, general announcements, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, where and when you can look through a telescope, National Space Society events, discussion topic of the evening, what you can see in the sky tonight, a featured constellation, object or topic, recent astronomical discoveries, space exploration, space history, visible satellite passes over the next couple of days, astronomical Q&A, and the 73 ounce. Let's go ahead and start with low power and short time check-ins. If you'd like to join us as being either or of those two, please come down with your call sign phonetically, your name, where you're transmitting from. Let me know if you're low power, short time, or both.
Is November 5, Whiskey Oscar India, William, short time.
Whiskey 5, Golf, Uniform Sierra, Gus, far northeast Dallas, low power.
I'm going to need some fills. I've got 3 folks checked in. November 5, Whiskey, Oscar, India, William, short time. I got W5GS, Gus in northeast Dallas, low power. And then I got another station, November Zulu 5 something. I've got to turn you up really loud. Your audio was low. If you try one more time, shout into the mic, please.
November 2, Sir India Papa, Ken, Irving, short time.
Tom, did you get him?
I got him. November 2, Victor India Papa. That's Ken over in Irving. Short time. Thanks for the relay, BJ. I know Ken. He has better radios than this, so he must be down in the basement that he's building over in Irving. Any additional low-power short-time stations? Because I'm going to ask on you one more time.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James Carrollton.
Okay, I down to Kilo Golf 5 Whiskey Victor Zulu James over in Carrollton. Of this group that's checked in, or anyone who would like to make any announcement early and leave, if you've got anything for the net, please come now from the folks that are checked in.
Kilo Golf 5, Papa, Mike and Richardson checking in.
Okay, let me go to general check-ins. I've got Mike, KG5P, over to Richardson. Additional check-ins. General check-ins, please come with your call sign name where you're transmitting from.
November Tango 5. Tango Mike. Tony in Dallas. Texas. BJ.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Quebec, Delta, Quebec, Eric and Garland.
Kilo Charlie 5, Oscar Zulu Tango, Carolyn and Louisville.
This is Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brendan DeSoto.
Charlie 9, Kilo Victor, rolling. Global Westlake.
This is Kilo 5 Alpha November Papa Allen in Dallas.
Alright, I'll need one fill, but I think I got everybody. NT5TM, Tony in Dallas. Wait a minute, I wrote that down twice. There may be additional. Okay, if you don't hear your call sign and you're checked in, I may have messed up. So I've got NT5TM, Tony in Dallas, Cat5QDQ, Eric, I think over in Garland, KC5OZT, Miss Carolyn Louisville, WB5OZ, wait a minute. Brenda, W5OZL over in DeSoto. Let's see, Romy, Kilo Victor, give me your call sign again. I'm sorry, I'm suffering from CRS.
Plus Charlie 9, Kilo Victor, AC9 KB. Oh, Foxtrot 5, Zulu, Bravo, Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch.
Okay, let me get the one call sign right. I'll acknowledge the others. I've got KC9KV, Romy, somewhere in Dallas. K5 Alpha, November Papa, Allen in Dallas. Mr. Bill, KF5ZBL in Farmers Branch. I'll take additional check-ins. Please come now.
F5PX, Crandall, Texas, BJ.
Kilo 5, Whiskey, Tango Hotel, William and Irving.
Two more on the list. AF5TX, BJ over in Crandall. Welcome, BJ. K5WTH, William and Irving. Welcome back. I'll do another round of check-ins before RF, before I move to Echolink. Additional RF check-ins, please come now. Echolink. If you'd like to join us over on Echolink, I know some of you are out of town. I see some regular suspects. If you'd like to join us on Echolink, I'll give you extra time. Please come now either through the chat window or audio, and I will give you extra time. Echolink only, please. All right, I did pick up two more. I got K5JDW, John over in Norman, and I got KI5CPN, Charlie Papa November, Michael somewhere out there. I got you checked in. N5IMS, India Mike Sierra, SJJ over in Carrollton. Okay, I got you checked in. I think that is, well, any folks over on Echolink who would like to check in? I know there's at least one more. Any check-ins, any mode. If you have tuned in late, that's okay. I will take your check-ins over there anywhere, any place. Please come down.
Whiskey will go 5, Papa Mike, November.
Okay, I've got Kilo Golf 5, Papa Mike, November. I should know that call. Could you give me your name and location, please?
KG5PMN, James, East Fort Worth.
All right, thanks. Kilo Golf 5, Papa Mike, November. James over in East Fort Worth. Thanks, James. Forgive me for not remembering. Okay, let's see here. Let's go ahead and get this started. We'll do another check here on original check. Do you have any general announcements for CES that can be of ham astronomy general interest to license hams, please? Now. Lots more details at w5fc.org. Hope to hear you on all that same globally discussion tonight. And on Thursday, we'll talk about the movie 5 p.m. Thank you, Tony, and Katie, go ahead.
And they're going to tend to be so we would be like, but that's going to be scripts on the machine where it's all you'll get the especially when you got a $300 million payload. So anyway, we'll compliment thank you in that case.
Delta 4 Heavy is our bad boy here. It's now allowing us to do anything. So, yeah, that is a very spectacular launch out at, I think it's Vandenberg Air Force Base. This is the heaviest rocket that we currently have in the launch inventory. So they're very careful about that. Delta 4 is pretty spectacular when you see it take off. There's nothing like it except for Saturn V. We've not seen that since 1973, the Skylab 1 mission, which I got to see. At any rate, no name dropping there. Yeah, this is the last Saturn V. Let's see here. Next up, I got check-ins, announcements. Next up are the AMSAT.net information. I'm not going to go into this because you can find this out. You can go to amsatnet.com and get additional information there. Let me ask, is there anyone from the Texas Astronomical Society who would like to bring anything to the net this evening? I have a feeling that tonight's Star Party was probably scrubbed, but anybody from TAS, Texas Astronomical Society, would like to talk about the club or activities going on? They're up. Please come out. If you want to find out more about the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas, go to texasastro.org. Check out their very cool website. Find out things that are going on, including a calendar of star parties that are available each and every Saturday night for the first 4 weeks in any month, as well as their third Friday meetings, which are at the, where the heck? University of Texas at Dallas on the campus in Richardson. All right, here's tonight's Afterglow info. I like doing this. The doctor took a step outside. It was a nice evening in San Francisco. The year, 1999, the near future. Man thought about how many times he escaped death. His astute reasoning, 2 hearts, snappy clothes, and extended fan base in England kept him safe. Except he wasn't in England. Shot rang out. The doctor looked down and gasped, "I've never been to America. I've been here 3 minutes and I've been shot." He fell to the ground, hoping he'd regenerated. He'd fit in his current wardrobe. Join us for the next Afterglow movie, Doctor Who the movie, 1996, tonight at 10:30 p.m. Yeah, it'll be fun. Even if you haven't seen it, I'm sure we'll have lots of Doctor Who stuff to talk about should be very entertaining. I've not seen this movie in at least 10, 15 years, and I really kind of liked it. So come on by 10:30 p.m. and we can discuss it.
P5P, one more comment, Tom.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, if you haven't seen the Nova, it was on Thursday night about the Apollo 8 mission. That's a must-see. And there's a lot of things in the movie that I wasn't even aware of, and a lot of things probably weren't even generally available until recently about what really happened and a lot of the events that occurred. I believe it's on Roku now. I put a link out there on the Skynet DERC website, and it's probably still available on PBS. So if you haven't seen it, if you don't, you're really, and if you're interested in space at all, you're really missing a treat. So that's the Nova issue on the Apollo 8 mission. Back to net KG5P.
All right, thanks, Mike. So that is the Nova Apollo 8 special. What really happened is available over on PBS. It's also on the Skynet website. The Afterglow movie, the Skynet Facebook page, and all that jazz. Yeah, one thing I will mention about that, which is interesting, we have talked about Apollo 8 a couple of times this month. It is the 50th anniversary. One of the things that keeps surfacing is that now that we're in the 50th anniversary, materials keep showing up here and there. I know for the Apollo 11 mission, there's some high-density film that has shown up that's never been seen anywhere else. I know there's been reproductions, digital reproductions on Apollo 8, and some of the some of the spots, like Bill Andrews' spot of Earth, have also shown up as well. This stuff just keeps emerging, as well as the astronauts that are still among us. The Apollo 8 crew is still alive, all three of them. Bill Anders, Jim Lovell, and Frank Borman are still with us, and they continue to reveal additional information. They are no spring chickens by any stretch, so I think they're beginning to open up on even some of the more mundane things because of the significance of going to the moon. They were the ones that got us to the moon. In fact, we won the space race with Apollo 8. So Apollo 8 is nothing to sneeze at. It was a major mission, a prime C they called it. Okay, let's see here. Let me get up on the next event, National Space Society. I did not see Bill check in. I think he said he was out this evening. N5DB, Bill, are you on frequency? All right, I think he did send me a note. Sometimes this all becomes a blur after a while for me. I think he's had a note he would be out this evening, although I did hear him on earlier, I believe. So tonight we're going to have a discussion topic of the evening, which is essentially, I had to find something quick. But the topic this evening is actually an article that came out of NBC. It was written by Corey S. Powell. It's from the NBC website. And I thought it was really interesting. This came out actually on Christmas Day. And it talks about Omuamua. What is that? Well, that's that strange asteroid that went through the solar system here that they picked up and realized that it came from outside of our solar system and then headed out back into deep space. What was interesting is kind of the changed understanding or disposition about what it means when you get something from interstellar space. We've never had this before, and as such, how do you treat it? Well, this is an interesting article, and I do have some comments afterwards, which I think is really fascinating. Corey S. Powell with NBC News. And he says the following. He says, and if you're following, by the way, we got the videos going and all that if you want to see any of the pictures. Not that there are any pictures about Omuamua, but you'll find out. Last year, an enigmatic object named Omuamua startled astronomers when it came streaking past the sun, giving humanity its first close-up look at an object from beyond our solar system. This year, the interstellar visitor did something even more remarkable. It made it respectable to talk about alien spaceships. All right, before you turn the radio off, keep listening. The turning point came in November when Avi Loeb, head of the astronomy department at Harvard University, co-wrote a paper saying that Oumuamua is so unusual that scientists should consider the possibility that it's not a far-out comet or asteroid, as his colleagues assumed, but rather an artificial structure. In other words, here are the dreaded words, maybe it's an interstellar craft built by extraterrestrials. Some of Loeb's colleagues were intrigued, others were disconcerted, but suddenly mainstream scientists were talking about it, how to tell if Oumuamua is a natural object, or as Loeb raised the possibility in his paper, an alien spacecraft designed to capture the force of sunlight, a so-called light sail. Loeb was well aware that most scientists recoil from anything that sounds like UFO craziness, but he believes that an overabundance of skepticism has cut them off from out-of-box ideas. The point of doing science is not to have prejudice, he says. The prejudice is based on the experience of the past. But if you want to allow yourself to make discoveries, then the future will not be the same as the past. Jason Wright, a Penn State astronomer who recently launched a graduate program in SETI, which is the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, shares Loeb's desire for open discussion and offers an upbeat assessment of the field's growing respectability. He says there's a real culture change. SETI is becoming a serious scientific discipline, he says. It was clear from the start that Oumuamua would shake up astronomy status quo. Shortly after its discovery, scientists realized the object's unusual trajectory meant that it came from outside of our solar system. That could have been traveling for millions of years. They quickly dubbed the mysterious object Oumuamua, a Hawaiian word meaning messenger from the past. There were more surprises. Oumuamua was too far away for astronomers to observe its shape directly, but they could tell by the extreme way its brightness shifted as it tumbled through space that it wasn't like any space rock they'd ever seen. It was very elongated with an axis ratio of at least 7 to 1. Astronomer Karen Meach of the University of Hawaii said in an email. In other words, it's at least 7 times as long as it is wide, shaped like a cigar, perhaps, or as Loeb proposes in his paper, maybe a flattened disk. Astronomers' models predict that most of the small bodies wandering in interstellar space are comets, but when Meach and others examined it, Oumuamua showed no sign of the expected comet-like trail or tail. It's also quite small, in an order of 1,000 feet long, and seems to be much more reflective than comets we know. Intrigued by its oddities, several groups of SETI researchers listened for possible radio transmissions from Oumuamua and heard nothing. Comets often accelerate that way when gases boil off their surface under heat and from the sun. But observations from the Spitzer Space Telescope showed no such material coming off of Oumuamua. At this point, Loeb thought it was time to consider a more radical interpretation, and with postdoctoral student Shmuel Bailey, wrote the provocative paper. In it, the scientists consider the possibility that Omuamua lacks a tail because it isn't a comet at all, and that the acceleration was caused not by boiling gases, by the pressure of sunlight against the very wide, thin, lightweight structure. The Spitzer data are consistent with a sail about 20 meters or 60 feet across, Loeb says. He and Bailey suggest that such an object could be technological debris or even a fully operational probe. Loeb anticipated a harsh reaction to his papers, and expectation was soon fulfilled. Twitter buzzed with snide comments, quote, "A new paper which claims Omuamua is an alien probe is full of poop." One skeptic tweeted, the Loeb paper says, "What if alien lights sails?" Ockheim says no, tweeted another in reference to Ockheim's razor, philosophical principle that when there are two competing explanations for an occurrence, the similar one is usually the better. One researcher who asked to remain anonymous, disparaged by Bailey and Loeb paper as irresponsible, and said it was, quote, "just out to grab attention," end quote. This is KE5ICX. Loeb shrugs off the reflexive dismissals, partly embraces the last critique, saying his lofty academic position actually obligates him to be a pot stirrer. I can say these things other people can't because I had tenure at Harvard. The whole idea of getting tenure is to allow you to be free in your mind. I used the opportunity of Omuamua to make a statement. In his view, searching for evidence of alien artifacts is no more outrageous than physicists exploring higher dimensions, or astronomers invoking dark matter to explain the motions of galaxies, or more to the point, no more outrageous than searching for the microbes on Mars. All I'm doing is following the standard scientific process, looking for explanation, Loeb says. What's different is that the stakes are so high. Finding evidence of extraterrestrial civilization would be far more profound than finding extraterrestrial microbes. It would tell us that humans aren't the only intelligent species around. Wright believes the excitement over Omuamua, combined with other recent developments in the field, is breathing new life into SETI research. There's a popular misconception that just people listening for radio signals and coming up with one null result after another, he says at SETI. He counters that there are actually a tremendous number of ways to search for alien life once scientists broaden their horizons. Wright raises the possibility that the now defunct alien civilization left behind artifacts on the moon where they could have survived, even if deposited there billions of years ago. His colleague, Paul Davies of Arizona State University, has enlisted students to comb through archival images of the lunar surface to see if they can find any evidence of alien, quote, techno-signatures, end quote. Wright has participated in studies of Tabby Star, whose intermediate dimming has some scientists wondering if it is encased in some vast artificial structure built by aliens. While latest results show that that is not the case, Wright is undeterred. Almost all of such searches are destined for failure, he says, and all it takes is one success to change the world. With that in mind, he advocates digging through existing astronomical data to look for other stars whose peculiar behavior could indicate the presence of alien construction projects. There are many rich data sets sitting out there to look through, he says. This is exactly the sort of unfettered curiosity that Loeb says he wanted to spark with his Omuamua hypothesis, which is, why have the prejudice? Why argue that it must be natural? What do we gain other than putting blinders on our eyes, he says. We should examine each and every interstellar object entering the solar system to check if it's natural or not. Even if most of the time it's natural, even now and then we might be surprised. And oh, what a surprise that would be. I mean, there's been many science fiction stories that have been written. Arthur C. Clarke, the guy that came up with geosynchronous orbit for communication satellites, wrote a book in 1972. Actually, it was a novel, I think, called Rendezvous with Rama. And when this whole thing with Omuamua started to occur, they knew it was coming through the solar system. It started out exactly as that book did. What is this unfamiliar object, this large cylinder in this case? What was it? Was it natural? Was it not? And of course, to make the story interesting, it was extraterrestrial in origin, and how they engaged it, what countries would do to do so. This is an example of this that I thought was quite amazing. Could it be possible? I don't know. I hate to think that we're the only intelligent civilization in the universe. That seems quite eccentric in ways that don't make sense. So why not? If we're going to go look at microbes on Mars, which is eventually going to happen on the planet in 1964, we thought could not support life, and now it has water and potentially microbes on the planet, that this might indeed be something worthy, and that we've really kind of been so cynical about the whole thing that why not check this out? Certainly with crowdfunding and the ability to be able to look at things with massive groups of people, massive researchers here on the ground, amateur astronomers. Let me reset. Going through huge data sets, either electronically or with actual people looking at the data and then verifying it, is definitely worthwhile. I thought it was an interesting article, and it may be changed. And certainly when you get something that comes from interstellar space for the very first time, you stop looking at just the solar system as a stagnant place where things never occur except inside of itself, much like Earth as a centered place. Now the solar system centered place. Now we're talking galaxy. I think that's pretty cool. Anybody have any comments they'd like to bring? Please come now. Any additional check-ins? Please come now.
E5P comment.
Go ahead, Mick.
Yeah, you mentioned Rendezvous with Rama by Arthur C. Clarke. That is a great book, and you can probably get it at the public library. And I definitely would recommend that book. Rendezvous with Rama by Arthur C. Clarke. Back to that KG5P.
And there's a vote and endorsement for that. And I enjoyed it, including I read 2 of the 3 sequels, I think. There were 2 sequels. Okay, this is KE5ICX and net control for tonight's Scott. The next thing we're going to do is, and Brenda WB50ZL is going to go ahead and read up on what you can see in the sky tonight. This is compliments of earthsky.org/tonight. I need a break from talking. So, Miss Brenda, WB50ZL, the net is yours.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, what you can see in the sky these next few mornings, December 29th and 30th, 2018, people around the world will see the moon in the vicinity of the constellation Virgo's one and only first magnitude star. As seen from around the world, the moon will be at or near its last quarter phase on the morning of December 29th. At last quarter, the moon appears half illuminated in sunshine and half immersed in the moon's own shadow. The lit side of the waning moon always points eastward or in the direction of sunrise. Relative to the backdrop stars of the zodiac, the moon travels its own angular diameter of about a half a degree eastward per hour, approximately 13 degrees eastward per day. For that reason, the moon will be closer to Ica on December 30th, and it will be on December 29th. And east, 4 hours before sunrise, the last quarter moon happens on December 29th at 9:34 UTC. A U.S. time zone that places the time of the last quarter moon on December 29th at 4:34 a.m. EST, 3:34 a.m. CST. You can figure it out. On December 28th at 11:34 p.m. HST. By definition, and in the language of astronomy, the moon at its last quarter phase is at west quadrature, 90 degrees west of the sun in geocentric ecliptic longitude. Technically speaking, the last quarter moon is not exactly 50% illuminated at west quadrature, although the lunar disk certainly looks half lit to the eye. Depending on the month, the illuminated portion of last quarter moon varies from 50.117% to 50.138%. To be less ambiguous, we consider the moon at the instant that it lies 90 degrees west of the sun is at west quadrature rather than at last quarter. However, the term last quarter is synonymous with west quadrature, and the term first quarter moon is synonymous with east quadrature. So, quadrature geometry. The moon is exactly half illuminated at dichotomy, yet a tiny bit more than half illuminated at quadrature quarter moon. The moon always reaches dichotomy, 50% illumination, a short while before its first quarter phase, and the moon always reaches its last quarter phase shortly before dichotomy. While the moon is at quadrature, first and last quarter in the Earth's sky, then it's the Earth that's at dichotomy to the moon's sky, and vice versa. Bottom line, on December 29th and 30th, 2018, let the waning moon introduce you to Spica, the brightest star in the constellation Virgo, the Maiden. Okay, that's all I got, so I'm going to turn it back to the net. This is WV5 OZL.
KG5P comment.
Very good, and thank you, Miss Brenda, and thank you for doing the report for me this evening. Mike, KG5P, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Brenda had mentioned about the upcoming total eclipse. I don't believe she mentioned the time, but it will be on the 21st. I don't know what day that is. I'm looking at the calendar. On the 20th, actually, on the 20th before midnight, and the total eclipse begins at about 22:41, and the maximum eclipse at 23:12. So it'll be around midnight. The last one we saw in Dallas, I had to get up about 4 in the morning to see it, and that's way too early for me, but this time will be right, a really good time to visit it, weather permitting. We don't get to see deep sky objects and stuff in Dallas, so this is probably the most spectacular astronomical event that we're likely to see here for a while. That'll be starting around. Partial eclipse begins about 9:30 starting on the 20th of January, whatever day that is. I'm looking at the calendar. Back to net, KG5P.
Thank you, Mike. Does anybody need any fills? I forgot to mention this earlier, but John, K5JDW, mentions that for the New Horizons flyby, which is going to take place, he says that Goldstone DSS-14 and the Canberra DSS-43 space telescope dishes have been set up for and fixed on the New Horizons spacecraft, so they should be able to get decent connections there. think they're having some audio issues there. Let's see. All right, well, in any case, it appears to be going through. I'm checking on another audio stream here. We gotta do everything. Okay. Let me go ahead and ask if there's any additional check-ins. Please come down with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from. Additional check-ins.
Alpha 5, Alpha Hotel, Robert Richardson.
KI-5 CMS from North Arlington.
Okay, I think I've got possibly three. There are two calls, and I will need a couple of fills. So I got Alpha 5 Alpha Hotel, Robert in Richardson. I got Kilo India 5 Papa Mike Sierra PMS North Arlington. Did I get your call right? And could I get your name?
My call sign is actually Kilo India 5 Charlie Mike Foxtrot. But you are correct in saying that I am transmitting out of North Arlington, and my name is Malik, Michael Alpha Alpha Lima India Kilo.
Very good. Okay, sorry, did not know the call sign, recognize the call sign. So yeah, Kilo India 5, Charlie Mike Foxtrot, Malik in North Arlington. Welcome. I think this is your first time checking in. There was, I think, another call, another individual out there that I missed. If you would please come again with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from, and I will get you checked in this time. Okay, any additional check-ins, please come now. Let's go ahead. This is KE5ICS. My name's Tom. I'm net control for tonight's Skynet, our astronomy net, every Saturday night at 9 o'clock, goes till 10:30. Usually, we'll see what happens. We have future constellation this evening, Miss Carolyn, KC5OZT. I believe you've got the second part of the constellation Orion. Are you ready?
Okay, this is KC5OZT, and Tom has offered to read it for me again. But I do want to thank him. My chemo treatments are leaving my mouth so dry. I can't read a long, article or anything like that. But I do want to thank him for taking this KC5OZT.
All right, that's fine, Miss Carolyn. I wasn't sure. So we'll go ahead and I will do that. I have the script right here. If you'd like to follow along, you can go to w5fc.org. You'll find the information there. Or follow the video link that's also available on the same website. And I'm keeping up with all of it. So here we go. The first thing you'll see is the Skynet, which is it underlines all of the principal objects that we will be looking at and talking about this evening, including the stars. So here we go. Orion the Hunter lies on the celestial equator. ASOM is the brightest and best-known constellations in the night sky. It represents the mythical hunter Orion, who is often depicted in star maps as either facing the charge of Taurus the bull or chasing after the hare in the constellation Lepus, the hare. With his two hunting dogs, represented by the nearby constellations Canis Major and Canis Minor, you get it, don't you? It continues two of the 10 brightest stars in the sky, contains two of the brightest 10 stars in the sky, Rigel and Betelgeuse, a number of famous nebulae, and one of the most prominent asterism, Orion's Belt. In Greek mythology, the hunter Orion was the most handsome of men. In Homer's Odyssey, Orion is described as exceptionally tall and armed with an unbreakable bronze club. In one myth, Orion fell in love with the Pleiades, the seven sisters, daughters of Atlas and Cleiston. He started pursuing them, and Zeus scooped them up and placed them in the sky. Orion can still be seen chasing the star sisters across the sky at night. Most myths about Orion's death involve a scorpion. In one tale, Orion boasted to the goddess Artemis and her mother Leto that he could kill any beast on earth. This goddess heard him and sent a scorpion, which stung the giant to death. Yet in another account, Orion was stung while trying to save Leto from the scorpion. All myths of Orion's death share the same outcome. Orion and the Scorpion are placed at opposite sides of the sky, so that when the constellation Scorpius rises in the sky, Orion sets below the horizon in the west, fleeing from the Scorpion. All right, the major stars in the constellation. This should be fairly easy, by the way. Orion is one of the easiest constellations to recognize right after the Big Dipper and the Small Dipper, or the Little Dipper, I should say. So we have Rigel, which is a beta. Beta Orionis is the brightest star, magnitude 0.18, the sixth brightest star in the sky. Even though it doesn't have a designation alpha, it's almost always brighter than Betelgeuse, Alpha Orionis. Rigel is really a star system composed of 3 stars and surrounded by a shell of expelled gas, and is a blue supergiant at type B. Rigel is associated with several nearby dust clouds which it illuminates. The most famous is 2118, the Witch Head Nebula, a faint deflection nebula northwest of Rigel in Uranus. Eridanus, I'll get it right. Rigel is only about 2 million years old, eventually will grow into a red supergiant. One and do 3 things hold on here, and then I'm going to put a lot of the Witch Head Nebula. It also appears. There we go. And there's indeed like Witch Head with Rigel off to wait. A hotspot, which is magnitude 2.77. I don't have a map over here, but anyway, it is the second brightest star. I'm sorry. It's a quadruple star system. It's a star line sword and Mars' step. That would be right there. It's a large rectangle showing all the pies 1 through 4. skyway, and marks the sword's tip. The primary component in this is a spectroscopic star. The system is composed of blue giant, class O and class B star. The binary is strong as a result of the collision of the coming from the pair.
I understand that I didn't go, but I mean I have to go now, so I'll be clear.
CMF from here I got so that lights the reflection that is in that as well. If you go check the website, the reason why that has not yet as far as they have punctured the sheet, dust, and gas in the nebula in a strong radiation. Increasing whole. Also, of course, is, well, as far as our star adventure here, Orion's Belt is one of the best-known asterisms in the night sky, formed by three bright stars, Mintaka, Alnilam, and Alnitak. Now, I know all you folks that are astronomer lovers already have figured out that Tom didn't pronounce them correctly, but that's okay. We'll move right along. So, deep sky objects in Orion, simply the Orion complex, is comprised of a large group of dark clouds, bright emissions and reflection nebulae, dark nebulae, H2 regions, large clouds showing recent star-forming activity, and young stars in the constellation. It is between 1,500 and 1,600 light years distance, and several parts of it, the famous Orion Nebula for one, can be seen with the naked eye. The Orion Molecular Cloud Complex consists most of the well-known deep sky objects in Orion. The Orion Nebula, Bernard's Loop, the Flame Nebula, and the Horsehead Nebula, which is Messier, at Messier 43 and 78. So those are the big boys in the Orion constellation. Deep sky object is the Orion Nebula, or M42. It is diffuse emission reflection nebula located south of the three stars that form Orion's belt. It is also called the Great Nebula, or the Great Orion Nebula. It is one of the brightest ones in the sky and can be seen without binoculars at a magnitude 4.0. To the naked eye, the Orion Nebula appears as a slightly blurry central star in Orion's sword south of Orion's belt. M42 is the nearest known region of massive star formation. Next up is Trapezium. It is a young, tight, open star cluster, magnitude 4, located in the center of the Orion Nebula, first discovered by Galileo in 1617. He first drew three of the stars, Alpha, A, C, and D, and the fourth one was added by later observers. Brightest five emit most of the light that illuminates the surrounding nebula. trapezium is easily identifiable by an asterism formed by the four brightest stars A, B, C, and D. Hey, and they're in alphabetical order. M43, that's located just south of the three stars, just to the, and Alnitak, directly below Alnitak, is Demarin's Nebula. It is the star-forming emission reflection nebula. The famous H2 region was first discovered by the French astronomer Jean-Jacques Demarin in 1731. M43 is part of the Orion Nebula, but separated from it by a large lane of interstellar dust. At magnitude 9.0, the nebula is located about 7 arc-minutes north of the trapezium cluster. And then finally, Barnard's Loop is an emission nebula magnitude 5 located in the Orion Molecular Cloud Complex. It is believed to have originated in a supernova explosion about 2 million years ago and was named after E.E. Barnard. Barnard's Loop is approximately 150 light years in radius, and it covers much of Orion. It appears as a large arc centered on M42, the Orion Nebula. The loop is believed to be ionized by stars located in the Orion Nebula. So there you have it. If anybody has any questions or comments about Orion, we've completed this constellation. Took 2 weeks, but we did it. Please come out.
G5P with a comment.
KT5P, Mike, go ahead.
Okay, I was going to add that Orion is one of the few constellations you can see in its entirety in the Dallas area, and it's also easy to pick out M42 and M43. As bad as our skies are, Orion is out there and it is visible, and if you haven't seen it, you can see it anywhere, even here. Back to that, thank you, KG5P.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. One of the things that I think is most absolutely striking about it is that as you see it to the east, as it rises, you can see the belt. And those 3 stars are perpendicular to the horizon. They appear as they come up directly off the horizon vertically, which is very striking. And of course, immediately when I saw that, then realized it was Orion for the first time, which took me a while. I'm kind of slow. Was in 2001: A Space Odyssey, when you see all the moons all lined up, and I was thinking, wow, that's pretty cool. Then as it went into the sky, you realize that is part of Orion, and it is Orion's belt, which has always been kind of central to a lot of stories and mythology and all of that. Well, sure, it's a constellation. It's been out there for a long time, and everybody has made up stories about it. If you haven't seen it, which I can't imagine this audience, this group not having seen it, you need to go out and check it out. This is KE5ICF, Net Control today, Skynet. Let's go ahead and move on to Miss Brenda, WB5OZL. What do you got for us in recent astronomical discoveries? Please come out.
This is WB5OZL. The first article is entitled, Getting a Glimpse Inside the Moon. The research from the University of Alberta physicists provides first ever model of our moon's rotational dynamics, taking into consideration its solid inner core, The model helps to explain why, as seen from the Earth, the moon appears to wobble on its axis. The answer, said physicist Matthew Dumberry, lies in the complex of the moon's orbit. You know, is this the article that we had last week?
I don't think so, is it? Go ahead.
Well, I recognize the name Dumberry. There's not many of those around. Is that a way for you to check that really fast?
I'll stand by. I'll check.
That's usually the way that a week goes by, I forget everything. That I look at the names and go, wait a minute, I know that name. I already did the article. Since we're running a little bit late anyway, I'll jump on to the next article, if that's okay. Sorry about that, folks.
Go ahead with the next article, and I'll see what I can figure out.
Actually, the next one is from last week also. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong script. Let me check that. I don't understand this. Hold on, let me check on something else.
Do you want me to just go ahead and we can go out of order at 5 p.m.? Yeah, Tony, go ahead, and then we'll pick up with Brenda afterwards. That's a great idea. Go ahead. NT5TM from KE5ICX. I'll try to keep it quick. In space exploration news, of course, the most exciting thing is New Horizons passing by Ultima Thule on New Year's Eve, about 11:15 our time. Unfortunately, we're not really going to know much. The high-gain antenna will have to space away from Earth for New Horizons to do science. But if you head over to w5sc.org, there are links to a lot of places where you can get what news and press briefings we will get. Probably the most interesting one is the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory website, pluto.jhupl.edu, pluto.jhupl.edu, and they'll have lots of information there on where to see press conferences. Died on December 25th at the age of 93. She did not design the Hubble, rather she was an astronomer who argued consistently throughout her career for space-based astronomy. She was instrumental in many of the Hubble's precursors, small astronomy sets and orbiting solar observatories that proved that space-based astronomy was practical, and she helped form the Mission Planning Committee that designed and later launched the Hubble Space Telescope. Space-related birthdays, on December 24th, 1910, William Pickering, the New Zealand and American chief designer, was born. He was the director of the JPL laboratory from 1954 to 1976. Under his leadership, the first successful probes to Earth orbit, the Moon, Venus, and Mars were designed, built, and flown. The Explorer, Pioneer, Ranger, Mariner, Surveyor, and Viking missions. Now, it's important to note there is actually another William H. Pickering who is a famous astronomer, so be careful which one you search for. von Braun, a student of Tycho Brahe, formulator of the three famous laws of planetary motion. These planets travel in ellipses with the sun at one focus. They do not ride on crystal spheres. Well, it was kind of a slow week. We did have a few things that happened this week in space history. On December 25th, 2004, the Huygens lander was separated from the Cassini orbiter. Cassini-Huygens was a joint NASA-ESA mission to Saturn. That Titan lander separated at 0200 hours GMT and later entered the atmosphere on January 14th, 2005. This was a spectacular landing, revealing oceans of methane and interesting terrain on one of the solar system's most fascinating moons. December 27th, 1968, Apollo 8 completed the end of the race. It flew its last lap. It landed safely in the Pacific, returning all three astronauts to Earth safely after its historic 147-hour mission. This was an important thing. The Soviet Union was not far as back and didn't know how to respond. They gave us art, poetry, science, and a greater sense of our common heritage on Earth. December 27, 2006, Omuamua was launched. Now, this is a French probe. You may not have heard of it, but it was an important exoplanet hunter that operated from 2006 to 2013. It was a transiting exoplanet hunter, the precursor of missions like Kepler and TESS. It was discovered the first exoplanet known as exoplanet just 3 months after the single planet outside the solar system. We find them in big batches, and Omuamua helps make that happen. Well, that was this week in space exploration, space history. Thank you for listening, and PRTM back to net. Thank you, Tony. I have calls for computer. Sorry about that. This is Skynet. So go ahead and take additional check-ins for Brenda's anybody no calls? You can see the radio is glowing, but you're not at all. We have no radio, and you're going, this is really great. I had it to all. That, I tell you, Brenda has signaled that she's ready to frequently. So, how long? You have been that, because I said that. Yes.
Is around 10,000 times bigger than the largest solar flare ever recorded from our own sun. The discovery is detailed in a paper for the monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society and reveals how this huge tantrum could even perturb the material orbiting a star, which would create the building blocks for future planets. The flare was seen on a young M-type star named NGTS J12-1939.5-355557, located 685 light years away. At around 2 million years old, it is what astronomers refer to as a pre-main sequence star, which is yet to reach its size that it spends the majority of its life cycle. It was observed as part of a large flare survey of thousands of stars by University of Warwick PhD student James Jackman as part of a project searching for explosive phenomena on stars outside our solar system. He used the Warwick-led Next Generation Transit Survey, NGTS, telescope array in Chile, which is designed to find exoplanets by collecting brightness measurements of hundreds of thousands of stars, and is based at the European Southern Observatory's Solano Observatory. His attention was drawn to, I'm not going to read the number again, as it had one of the largest flares ever seen in these types of stars. A stellar flare occurs when the magnetic field of a star rearranges itself, releasing huge amounts of energy in the process. This accelerates charged particles, or plasma, within the star, which crash into its surface, heating it up to around 10,000 degrees. That energy produces optical and infrared light, but also X-rays and gamma rays that can be picked up by telescopes on Earth and in orbit. Magnetic fields on M stars are a lot stronger than those on our own sun, and the astronomers calculated that this size of flare is a rare event, occurring anywhere from every 3 years to twice a decade. James, who is studying the University of Warwick's Department of Physics, said this is normally a star that shows little activity and stays at constant brightness. Then on this one particular night, we saw it suddenly grow 7 times brighter than normal for a few hours, which is pretty extreme. And then after that, it goes back to normal. We see these types of flares on the sun, but nowhere near as big as this. On our sun, you can do incredibly detailed studies on this kind of activity. It's difficult to extend that understanding to other stars because the data we need hasn't been available until now. This is an incredibly young star, only about 2 million years old. You'd call it a baby. It's going to live for tens of billions of years, so it's the first 1% of its lifetime. Even though it's much cooler than our sun by about 2,000 degrees, it is roughly the same size, but pretty large for an M star. This is because it's still being formed from gas in the disk and contracting and cooling until it reaches the main sequence, staying at a certain radius and luminosity for billions of years. Finding out these kinds of details has only been possible thanks to the Gaia mission that began earlier this year. These X-rays from these large flare events are thought to affect the formation of chondrules, flash-melted calcium aluminum-rich grains in the star's protoplanetary disk. These gather together into asteroids that eventually coalesce into orbiting planets. The study adds to an understanding of how flares perturb the protoplanetary disk, moving around the material that impacts on planet formation and affecting the eventual structure of a planetary system. Professor Peter Wheatley, James's PhD supervisor, said a massive flare like this could be advantageous for planet formation, or it could be disruptive. This particular star won't have formed its planets yet, so this type of flare activity is something that astronomers will need to take into account when considering planet formation. There's a discussion at the moment around whether flares are a good or bad thing for life on orbiting habitable planets, because they output a large amount of UV radiation that can cause biological damage to surface organisms and damaging their DNA. On the other hand, UV radiation is required for various chemical reactions to start life, and is not typically provided in great enough quantity by these types of stars. These flares could potentially kickstart these reactions. That article was a little bit long. Tom, if you want to do satellite passages, I could skip the other articles. Just let me know what you want.
No, go ahead and do the about half that article. I don't have passages simply because I knew I would lose my voice, and I'm pretty close to having done that. So if you don't mind doing half that other article, that should take us to 10:30. KE5ICX.
Okay, this is WB5OZL. I've got so many articles open up here. Just give me a second. Okay. Faint starlight and Hubble images reveals distribution of dark matter. Astronomers using data from the NASA ESA Hubble Space Telescope have employed a revolutionary method to detect dark matter in galaxy clusters. This method allows astronomers to see the distribution of dark matter more accurately than any other method used to date, and it could possibly be used to explore the ultimate nature of dark matter. The results were published in the journal Monthly Notices of the Royal Astronomical Society. In recent decades, astronomers have tried to understand the true nature of the mysterious substance that makes up most of the matter in the universe, dark matter, and to map its distribution in the universe. Now, two astronomers from Australia and Spain have used data from the Frontier Field program of the NASA ESA Hubble Space Telescope to accurately study the distribution of dark matter. We found, I lost my place. Intercluster line is a byproduct of interactions between galaxies. The closer these interactions, individual stars are stripped from the galaxy and float freely within the cluster. Once free from the galaxies, they end up where the majority of the mass of the cluster, mostly dark matter, resides. These stars have an identical distribution to the dark matter as far as our current technology allows us to study, explained Montez. Both dark matter and these isolated stars, which form the intercluster light, act as collisionist components. These follow the gravitational potentials of the cluster itself. The study showed that the intracluster line is aligned with the dark matter, tracing its distribution more accurately than any other method relying on luminous tracers so far. This method is also more efficient than the one more complex method of using gravitational lensing. While the latter requires both accurate lensing reconstruction and time-consuming spectroscopic campaigns, the method presented by Montez utilizes only deep imaging. It means more clusters can be studied with a new method in the same amount of observation time. This is our Hoff's article. It's almost 10:30, so I think I'll leave it there. Back to that. This is WB5OZL.
This is KE5ICX. I'm net control for tonight's Skynet. I'll take additional check-ins. This probably won't be final call. If you'd like to join us this evening, please come down with your call sign name, where you're transmitting from. local Q&A, and then we're done. Does anybody have any questions or comments they'd like to bring to the net? Please come now. Okay, well, until next Saturday night, this is Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, Tom, and I'll be closing the net at 22:27 local time and returning the repeater to amateur use. Oh, I skipped the other part that's important. We had 23 folks checking in this tonight, including myself. Thanks to all who did. We hope you join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, sky is never the limit. You know that, of course. Well, I was looking for net control stations for this and all of the DARC nets. I do need additional presenters, folks who would be interested in providing content for this net for 2019. We'll be making some changes, not a lot, but a few, starting in 2019, so we'd like to have your input. If you'd like to help or you have comments about anything involving this net, you can send an email to nets@w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussion about this net, Astronomy in General on Facebook, and on Twitter, as well as our audio-video streams, video archives, and other useful Internet resources by going to w5fc.org. So until next Saturday night, here's where I should have read it. This is KE5ICX, Tom, and I'll be closing the net at 22:28. 22:28. Let me write that down. Local time and returning the repeater to normal amateur use. When we come back, about 5 minutes from now, we will be doing the After Movie Net. We'll be talking about Doctor Who, the movie. Well, there were several, but there was one from 1996 in an attempt to bring it back. So, come on by. At that time, if you're Whovian, you will find this interesting net. So this is KE5ICX closing out now. We'll be back here at about 5. KE5ICX clear.
extra low net. My brain is fried. Something we do every Saturday night, right after Skynet, and we pick a different movie each time and talk about it. And the one tonight is Doctor Who, the movie from 1996. And we'll let my compatriot, Tom, the KE5ICX, do the honors in giving us a synopsis of this fine film. Could you do that, please, Tom?
Oh, indeed I will. It's not like I've been doing anything this evening. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. This comes from my fact checkers. These are a huge army of people who actually do all this work for me, called Wikipedia, and this is what they have to say. Doctor Who, also referred to as Doctor Who the movie, to distinguish it from the television series of the same name, is a 1996 television film continuing the British science fiction television series Doctor Who. It was developed as a co-production between BBC Worldwide, Universal Studios, 20th Century Fox, and the American network Fox. It premiered on the 12th of May in 1996 in Edmonton, Alberta, CITV, which was owned by, I don't know who, we don't care. 15 days before its first showing in the United Kingdom on BBC One, so it actually showed up in Canada first, and 2 days before being broadcast in the United States on Fox. It is also shown in some countries for a limited time in cinemas. The film was the first attempt to revive Doctor Who following its suspension in 1989. It was intended as a backdoor plot for the new American-produced Doctor Who TV series. It introduced Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor in his only televised appearance as the character until Night of the Doctor in 2013, though McGann had portrayed the Doctor also in various audio productions. And I remember that episode. It was kind of cool. It was the 50th anniversary, if I remember correctly. It also marks the final appearance of Sylvester McCoy as the 7th Doctor, the only appearance is Daphne Ashbrook as companion Grace Holloway, and the only appearance of Eric Roberts' version of The Master. Although the rating success in the United Kingdom, the film did not fare well in the American television, and no series was commissioned. The series was later relaunched on the BBC in 2005. The only Doctor Who episodes between the film and the new series were a 1999 spoof, Doctor Who and the Curse of the Fatal Death, and a 2003 animation, Scream of the Shalka. Although the film was primarily produced by different people than the 1963 to 89 series intended for an American audience, producers chose not to produce a re-imaging or reboot of the series, but rather a continuation of the original narrative. The production was filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia. To date, the only episode of Doctor Who filmed in Canada. Now, the plot is somewhat long. I'm only going to give you a couple of paragraphs because I already read you this extensive preamble. It says, following the Master's trial and execution at the hands of the Daleks, the Doctor, currently in his 7th incarnation, is transporting the Master's remains to Gallifrey via the TARDIS. En route, the box with the remains breaks open and the ooze leaks out, infecting the TARDIS. The Doctor is forced to make an emergency materialization in San Francisco's Chinatown on the 30th of December, 1999. This is the future, remember. As he exits and locks the TARDIS, the Doctor is shot by a gang chasing down Chang Li, a young Chinese-American man. Li calls for an ambulance and escorts the unconscious Doctor, capital D, to the hospital, unaware the ooze from the TARDIS has gotten aboard. At the hospital, after the bullets are removed, and the bullies too, cardiologist Dr. Grace Holloway attempts surgery to stabilize his unusual heartbeat, but is confused by his strange double heart anatomy and accidentally lodges a cardiac probe in the Doctor's body, apparently killing him. The Doctor's body is taken to a morgue, while Lee is given the doctor's possessions, including the TARDIS key. Meanwhile, the ooze takes over the body of the ambulance driver, Bruce, transporting him into a new body for the Master. Read the second paragraph, and that's it. Later, the doctor's body regenerates, and a new doctor, suffering amnesia, gathers clothes from the remnants of a recent party. He recognizes Holloway, who has resigned from the hospital after the failed operation, and follows her to her car, proving to her he is the same man by pulling out the cardiac probe out of his body, no less. Holloway takes him home to recover. Lee returns to the TARDIS, where the doctor arrives and puts him under his mind control by claiming the doctor has stolen his body. The Master convinces Lee to open the TARDIS and then opens the Eye of Harmony within it, which requires the human retinal scan. Yeah, I know it's getting convoluted. When the eye opens, the doctor is flooded with memories and realizes the Master is searching for him and tries to block the scan. He warns Holloway that while the eye is open, the fabric of reality will weaken and potentially destroy the Earth by midnight on New Year's Eve. If they cannot close it, however, he needs an atomic clock to do so, and Holloway finds one on display at the San Francisco Institute of Technological Advancement and Research. We'll stop there because this is typical of Doctor Who. Stuff gets really weird. And I'm going to send this back to our net control because time travel makes my nose bleed. This is KE5ICX. Back to net control.
Yeah, I like my fingernails itch too. It's just, you can't grapple the whole thing of time travel. This is KE5OZL. Okay, we're going to take check-in. We'll do a short time and or low power first. Starting with your call sign phonetically, your name and your location. So please come now.
Golf 5, Papa. It's Mike and Richardson.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony, low power portable in Dallas.
Golf 5, Zulu, November Juliet, Frank in Flower Mound.
Kilo Echo 5, India, Charlie, X-Ray, Tom, Louisville, and I will mention I did see this.
Oops, I forgot for people to say whether or not they saw it. We'll go ahead and go through these check-ins. KG5P Mike, did you see the movie?
Okay, thank you, Brandon. I'm sorry. Yes, I did see the movie. Sorry about that. Back in at KG5P.
It's my fault. I neglected to mention it. NT5PM Tony, did you see it?
Yes, I did, NT5PM.
KG5 ZNJ Frank, did you see this movie?
Yeah, I saw it.
And KE5ICX, who did see the movie. Okay, let's take additional check-ins now. And let me know if you saw the movie. Please come down.
Kilo Charlie 5, Oscar Zulu Tango, Carolyn and Louisville, and I saw the movie.
Whiskey 5, Echo Bravo Bravo. David in Dallas. Yes, I saw the movie.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Papa Mike, November, James, Fort Worth. I saw the movie.
KC5OZG, Carolyn, yes. W5EBB, David, yes. And the next one, James, I'm sorry I messed up your call. Would you please come again with it?
This is Kilo Golf 5, Papa Mike, November.
KG5, Papa Mike, November, James. Did you see the movie?
Yes, I saw the movie. KG5DMN.
Okay, do we have anything on Echo Link? Okay, any other check-ins? Please come down. Okay, let's get started. KG5P, Mike, what did you think about the plot?
It's KG5P with a net. Good evening. Well, I enjoyed the movie. I thought the plot was coherent. I remember the original Doctor Who with Peter Cushing that was on in the 60s, and I could never really get into it. I thought it was kind of stuffy. It was Doctor Who and the Daleks, if you remember that. I really couldn't get into it. It just it was in black and white and just, you know, very British and very stuffy. So I probably watched a few episodes and got bored with it, and never watched any of them again until this particular movie. But the plot was coherent. I thought it was. I think it was pretty well. It was well written. One thing I thought was kind of unusual is here's Doctor Who in the TARDIS machine, and he appears just right in the middle of the San Francisco gang war. And as soon as he steps out of the TARDIS machine, he gets shot in one of his hearts. But the plot did, you know, it did develop pretty well, and you had the bad guy and you had the good guy, and then there was also the Earth lady that played the supporting role, who played the Doctor. And there was really nothing spectacular about it, but it was entertaining, I thought, and certainly a lot better than the original Doctor Who. So I guess that's about all I have to say. Back to net KG5B.
Okay, it's P5TM, Tony. What do you think of this movie and the plot? Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Mike, and thank you, Brenda. Mike, right up to a point, I would agree. I always knew who the good guys and the bad guys were. I didn't have trouble telling the characters apart or understanding, okay, if we're in the third act here, that kind of stuff. So in that sense, it was, you know, coherent. I found the plot to be rather disappointing. I think they had about an hour's worth of material that was stretched into 90 minutes, and that always frustrates me some. I want scenes to be shorter. I want them to keep moving. I actually don't even want another plot complication because I'm bored with what's happening. And something that I really think that they missed in the writing, now I never saw the Peter Cushing Doctor Who, but I did see a few episodes of, I think it was Tom Baker and Sylvester McCoy, Doctor we saw at the beginning here. Doctor Who was kind of a children's show. We're not looking for deep physics here, but what little I saw, it did manage to have some suspense and some surrealism and some humor. And the writers of this really just produced a plot that was very standard. Characters like the big bad stuff, the wit and the mystery were just not there for me, and I was really disappointed by that. NK510.
Hi, KG5ZNJ. Frank, go ahead.
That's KG5ZNJ, Frank and Flowerbound. Well, Doctor Who is kind of special to me because as a kid in Canada, at about the age of 3 or 4, I never really watched a whole lot of TV, I think, except for little kids shows, and there weren't very many of those. And I made friends with a kid in kindergarten at that age, and he was from England. He was British. At the time, I was in Canada, obviously, and I didn't know how to speak English. English, believe it or not, is not my first language. It's actually French-Canadian. And us two kids couldn't really understand each other, but somehow we taught each other's language, which was kind of neat. But he turned me on to Doctor Who, being from England, and it was shown on TV. And I started Doctor Who with John Pertwee, who I think was the best doctor out of all of them of all time. And I was a huge fan of that as a little kid, even though I didn't really understand much of it. As I got older, I kept watching it, and I really enjoyed the show. Let me reset. And John Pertwee went away and regenerated into Tom Baker, and then Tom Baker's very famous. He was a very good doctor as well. And then Peter Davidson came along, and he wasn't there very long, but he was also pretty good, I thought. I enjoyed watching those years. And then they ruined it. They had some guy, I think his name was Colin Baker. He was just terrible. And then they got Sylvester McCoy, which was an actor from a kids show called Vision On in England, which was really popular back in the old days. So he was just not a good choice, and he definitely ruined the series. And I so enjoyed watching him come out of the TARDIS, significantly older, but it's him, and he gets shot right away. I just cheered because I hated that doctor so much. He destroyed the whole series. So to me, that was cool that he ate a bullet. Anyway, it was a movie that was an attempt to resurrect the series, which they had ruined. And I thought it pretty much failed. It was made in Canada. That's another embarrassment. Canada is where good science fiction generally goes to die, and I can say that. I'm Canadian. The only decent science fiction I remember out of Canada was a show called Sliders, if you've seen that. There was 2 or 3 seasons, and I think the first 2 were pretty good, and then it got bad. Then you had Rebread Theater, which was pretty good for the time, and then the Outer Limits reboot, that was also pretty good. There's a few other ones, probably nobody ever heard of them, but they were all right. Anyways, the plot, compared to the older Doctor Who's, it wasn't that good. It broke from the storyline. It didn't make a lot of sense in the Doctor Who universe. I mean, the Master starts off as a living death goo and turns into a snake, and then various other things, and then they ripped off aliens. He went down, I think it was Eric Roberts' throat, and took over his body. That was just not typical. Then you had the Clockwork Orange rip off with the face restraint that holds the eyes open. Let me reset here. The plot was pretty simple and lazy, I thought, and they just fluffed through the story and didn't really make a serious attempt at making anything explainable, even in a science fiction way. So I really didn't like it. And it didn't stay faithful to the series. Doctor Who would never use force back in the day. He didn't do that. He used his brain, and he outsmarted people. He usually did very intelligent things to trick people and get people to see the light. And he wasn't one to use violence, and he certainly would have never pulled a gun on a cop and taken his motorcycle and then gotten in a high-speed chase. That's completely out of character. And also, he would have never gotten romantic with what they call the companions. He had people who were his companion during the various years that the show was on, and the female doctor and the little gang kid were definitely companions, and he got romantic with the woman doctor. That would have never happened in the old show, so that was not good. I don't know. I didn't like it. I really didn't. You know, everything about the story wasn't very good, I thought. You know, he would have never settled a brawl, settled his problems with the master in a big brawl. That's not how the show worked. And that was a recurring character, by the way, the master. And I don't know. You know, he never used high-tech gadgetry either to win the day. He had a sonic screwdriver, but it was incidental. It was never the thing that was used to win something. So, you know, I don't know. It wasn't good. And you know, then killing the two companions, bringing them back to life, just really cheesy. I don't know. Didn't like it. No, sir, didn't like it. Back to net control. Dave, President J.
Well, all righty then. K5 ICX. Now, what do you think?
Deal. No. Frank was so articulate and down right on all this. I can get into that follow-up. How do you follow up? The guy's Canadian. It was knows these people. So I don't have a lot to add to that as far as the plot is concerned. I would say that it was kind of cool. They went ahead and bridged with that doctor with his new guy in hopes to do the series, and I think that was the next thing that they did. The story was neat. Yeah. We're going to the new millennium. Actually, 2001 is the new millennium, not 2000. So we had that coming on. Of course, in 1996, we were all concerned about what's going to happen in 2000 when computers all switch over, and I think that was the picture that they were trying to portray. All 96 may have not been as close as any year afterwards. Let me reset. It was interesting. He had some elements about him. I thought this ancient, 1900 outfit was a bit much. People looked at him like he was pretty much makes sense that if you were going to a Doctor Who convention, it made perfect sense. I don't know. One of Doctor Who is that they always steal from best and the worst. There is no pride in what you do. So this one stole from a number of different resources, as Frank mentioned, and that's to be expected. It's absurd, always is absurd. This is one natural reflects the original series, not as much as it could have. It wasn't as faithful. Which leads you to think about what happened going forward. Well, in 2005, we had to wait another, do the math, I can't even think what it was, 9 years before it actually a worthy reboot. It did work. And has continued since then. So this is an attempt to get a man audiences and a love interest and all that, I think, to try to be all things to all people. It wasn't going to be that. Yeah, I think so, and I won't devote others too much, but I did like the whole look of the TARDIS. It's way on the inside than it is on the outside, with Way, W-A-Y, with the TM in it, and an exclamation point. Let's not forget that. So I thought that it worked in that way. I think there was some violation with the whole thing going back to the same time period. I think that was a rule established in the temporal time thing, and agents said that you cannot go back to the exact same time. So I think they violated that as well. One of the things that you have to be careful of with any plot is that when you have a time machine and you can undo everything, you got to find a way that you can't undo everything. Otherwise, you just go on the time machine, dial it back 15 minutes, and you solve the problem every time. That's a bad thing with time machines. especially with a program that has time machines. So I mentioned there's a time machine. Well, I'm out of time. Back to you, Net Control. This is KE5ICX.
Okay, KC5OZP. Carolyn, what did you think?
Okay, one thing, I was coming into this, I'd never seen any of the Doctor Who things, and so it was sort of interesting to get a little of the background, you know, on it, but it took, you know, a while to understand some of the, some of the background, but it was definitely action-packed and ended good, so I did enjoy watching it. And it'd be interesting finding out more about the Doctor Who universe, KC5OZT.
Okay, this is W5OZL. Next up, David, W5EBB. Go ahead.
Well, like Carolyn, this is pretty much my introduction to Doctor Who, at least the movies. I think I saw maybe one previous episode, but so I'm pretty new to it. I thought it was entertaining. You know, the last third or so, once the chase scene starts in the ambulance was, I kind of lost my interest a little bit. But I tell you, somebody ought to take the best parts of Doctor Who, The Matrix, and Superman and make a movie called There's Something About Phone Booths. So two hearts that beat as one. Actually, they beat as two, so that's why it looks like they're defibrillating. Probably a good design choice to have two beating separately and kind of not at the same time to reduce blood pressure and maximize continuous blood flow rate. So kudos for that. The reincarnation scene was cute. How it interlaced equivalent scenes from the original Frankenstein. And how he contorts his mouth and face muscles like Leonard Nimoy just before a scene. I thought that was fascinating. Overall, it was entertaining, you know, kind of the standard time travel motifs, and but overall, I liked it. W5EBB.
Okay, K25PMN. James, go ahead.
This is KG5PMN. Never was a Doctor Who fan, and didn't really understand the movie to begin with until I looked up the synopsis on the internet and found out that this movie kind of follows the usual plot lines for Doctor Who. You know, it just starts with him in reincarnation and then runs through a scenario until the end. I thought it was a pretty good. Had a good flow through it, you know, from the start to beginning, and a good timeline that you can keep up with the characters, and I thought there was a couple of kind of funny lines in it. When he was riding the motorcycle and she said something that was kind of funny to me. I'll send it back to the next KG5PMN.
I was a big Doctor Who fan back in the 70s and 80s when it was in syndication. I didn't see it in sequence. I think when I started watching it, John Pertwee was the Doctor. Tom Baker is definitely my all-time favorite. And, you know, I liked Tom. I didn't like Tom, like most people. Wasn't a Sylvester McCoy fan much. I have seen very few of the modern ones. For no good reason. I probably like it. I just never have really found where it is, or not with somebody that's wanting to watch it or to talk about it. So I don't know. I should probably find it and watch it. I think one of the problems with this is just the decades that went by. When you look how the people that make movies and TV shows change, you know, you've got Sherlock Holmes with Basil Rathbone, very staid and, you know, very, I don't want to say boring, but, you know, very solid kind of guy. And then you move on to Sherlock Holmes with, what's his name? The guy that plays Iron Man. Totally different kind of show. And you look at the old Western where nobody ever got killed. And then the modern one, you know, as they progressed, things got wilder and more violent and a lot more, well, it was just different because time had gone on and movie technology had changed and, you know, even the old science fiction movies, you know, just a real simple basic rocket ship compared to the elaborate scenes we have now with all these special effects and everything. You know, and I think that's one reason why this is so different from the original Doctor Who. I do take issue with romantic interest. To me, that's just breaking canon. Just don't do it. It just makes things very complicated and sticky. And I wish they hadn't done that. I wish they had held them at arm's length. Be a lot more comfortable with that. I thought it was watchable. It's a popcorn movie. I wasn't looking for anything really deep and meaningful. So I kind of enjoyed it. Just for a fun romp. That was about it. All right. Do we have any more check-ins? Okay, let's start back at the top. KG5P Mike, what did you think of the characters?
Well, Brenda, I don't really have much to say about the characters. I think it was, they're about like the movie. It was kind of an average movie. There weren't any really spectacular characters. The romantic deal, they could have left that out, but I guess they always have to put something like that in there between, you know, the romantic interest between Doctor Who and the gorgeous heart surgeon. And her boyfriend dumped her, I guess, and so she took up with Doctor Who. And there was no love triangle in there. But, yeah, the characters are kind of uneventful. I mean, it was an entertaining movie, but nothing spectacular. But then, you don't expect these kind of movies to be spectacular or great acting or anything like that. One thing I didn't notice, I was reading the credits, and there was Tony Dow that was mentioned. And the only Tony Dow I ever heard of was Leave It to Beaver's brother Wally. So I looked it up, and sure enough, it was Wally. He was the special effects producer or something like that. So he moved on to bigger and better things, I guess, than Leave It to Beaver, although not too much bigger and better. That's about all the comments I have as far as the characters go. Nothing spectacular. I'm sure that some of the others will have a lot more insight than I do, but back to that KG5P.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Next up, Tony, NT5TM, characters.
Again, I apologize for the whistling tea kettle here in the background. I guess that's in keeping with the British theme of the show. In general, it was kind of passable, but I found the characters a little disappointing. The little Doctor who I've seen, the Doctor is a smart person who might be more or less funny or witty. He might have a variety of different traits from the eras.
but he's a leader. He's someone you would follow, and whether it was the actor or director or the writing, this Doctor Who was just not interesting to me. He lacked charisma. I had no urge to think of him as a leader or a smart person. I just didn't care. Erin saw some of this, and she had problems with this female surgeon. I mean, this is a very senior, important person who often seemed to be kind of hysterical and not very in charge. That didn't seem to fit. So characters just lacked charisma. They didn't seem to fit themselves, and it wasn't awful. It just wasn't what I hoped for. NT5TM.
Okay, KG5, CNJ Frank, go ahead.
This is KG5ZNJ. Well, I gave it the knife, so I'm going to be a little more kind somewhat to the characters. I thought that I don't know his name, the guy who played the Doctor actually was a pretty good actor for that role, and he actually did play the role well, I thought. He really did, and he had the right look as well. So he wasn't that bad. Like I said, he was a lot better than Sylvester McCoy. So, I mean, I'm giving him a pass on this. I actually thought he was all right, even though the story and his actions and all that was wrong, but that's not his fault. That's the writers. I also thought Eric Roberts was okay as the Master. I mean, he did as good of a job, I think, as anybody could for the writing. In the old days, they had a couple of really good masters. One of them was one guy. He looked like the Angel of Death. It was utterly terrifying when you're a little kid. And they had another one who had black hair, almost like a Dracula haircut, and I forget his name, but he was a really good master. Anyway, so, Eric Roberts did a good job. The lady who played the Doctor, well, she was a dingbat. I can't put it any other way, and it didn't make sense that somebody like her would be a medical doctor, let alone a heart surgeon. So that didn't even add up. I thought that was pretty awful. And the kid who played the gangbanger, I didn't think he was particularly good either, so that didn't really work. But the Doctor was all right, and, the old plot line is Doctor Who always gets put into bad situations, and he comes out of a super advanced time machine / spaceship. So he has this amazing technology, far superior to anybody. Anybody in his universe he ever met, nobody has a candle to his technology. Like, nobody can do anything to his TARDIS. He's in there, he's safe. And he can go wherever he wants, nobody can stop him, ever. And the funny thing is, he gets put in a bad situation, and there's always three parties. There's the good, the evil, and then the in-between people. And Doctor Who leaves his super advanced technology, and he just reasons with people. So if there's a battle to be done, he does it with his mind and with his wits, and his big job is to convince the in-between people to get on the good side, to get rid of the confusion. So he has this oration to him and this charisma to him, and he convinces people, and he's also intelligent and uses his mind. And he never uses his super technology to do anything outside of getting there. That's what the TARDIS is, just to get him somewhere. And despite having charisma and being smart, he's an extreme eccentric who's actually kind of funny and goofy. So, I don't know, I thought this actor did a good job, and that's probably the saving grace of that movie. I think somebody who could probably, if they wanted to redo a movie, I would say get Patrick Stewart to play Doctor Who. I think he could do a really awesome Doctor Who. So, that's the captain from Next Generation. That's about all I have to say about it. So back to Net Control, this is KG5ZNJ.
Well, I would be happy to watch Patrick Stewart recite random numbers, but that's just me. KE5ICX. Go ahead, Tom.
There are 8 doctors. Never mind, that's an obscure thing. Who knows? Let's see. The characters themselves, I probably, Frank, has a lot of cold weather up there, and he's come down here. But I didn't think that the characters were quite that bad. They weren't great. I liked the gang guy. He was okay. The doctor was a bad doctor, but hey, yeah, she's a doctor, but not a very good one. That's okay. I thought the other doctor, our doctor, with a capital D, he did all right. I think he played the character quite well overall. I was fine with that. The master, I thought overall was kind of cool. I liked it, and the glasses actually worked a lot. Sort of a Miami Vice thing going on there. And of course, we always wonder, even, what was it? What was the movie, doggone it, that prison film, I'll think of it. At any rate, somebody will think of it, you never knew who the guy was underneath the glasses until you pull the glasses off and you find out it's the lizard guy who runs everything and is the arch nemesis for the doctor. So I wasn't all that unhappy with the characters. It is a TV movie, and it definitely felt like a TV movie. But unlike an actual what was it, Doctor Who versus the Daleks, which I watched and found very stilted. I thought this is an improvement on that. If you're going to do a 2-hour or something movie, I thought that it worked out pretty well. So, not bad. I think Eric Roberts was actually my favorite character in this whole thing as the Master. I thought he did a great job. Overall, he played the arch villain. So I'll go with that. I'm not going to go beyond that as far as characterization. I had more to say about the sets and special effects. KE5ICX.
Okay, KC5OZP. Carolyn, go ahead.
Again, coming into this sort of blind, I thought the doctor, like I said, that took time to get used to, but he seemed to do a good job, and the Oriental, it seems like it turned his life around from being a gangster to he was going to make a nice man, or something. Of course, I don't know since I didn't see the picture, but there was one scene though that was just hilarious to me. Was when he broke out of the morgue and that guy saw him coming out. The guard, saw him coming out of the morgue. That was that guard's reactions was one of the funniest. But like I say, not knowing much about the background, I think most of the characters at least played their role, if not great, they did it well, at least. KC5OZP.
Thank you, Carolyn. Okay, moving on, W5EBD, David.
The cardiac surgeon, Grace, worked well under pressure and looked to me a little bit like Sheena Easton. She's a professional, a doctor, a fan of the opera. Let's just say she's a modern girl. The doctor, I guess the Who doctor, Doctor Who, looked like a young Gene Wilder with slightly less frizzy hair. I thought it was kind of a downplayed role a little bit. But why does the British accent immediately augment perceived IQ by 80%? So at least we know he's smart. Eric Roberts' role, usually when I watch something with Eric Roberts, I'm thinking, is this Peter Gallagher? I can never tell them apart. I have to wait for the credits. But to me, I just didn't think he was very convincing as a quasi-Terminator / Ming the Merciless. W5EBB.
Okay, KG5PMN, James.
This is KG5PMN. As far as the characters go, I guess it was standard characterization for a Doctor Who, call it a movie or a TV show or whatever. Like Carol and I have not had any experience with Doctor Who, so can't really comment too much on the characterization other than everybody seemed to play their roles pretty well and appropriately. I wasn't real familiar with the Doctor and what he had put on during the surgery, but never had seen that before. But I guess each hospital might do something a little differently. We'll send it back to the net, KG5PMN.
Okay, do we have any additional check-ins? Okay, like I said, I watched most of the old episodes back in the 70s and 80s, and my recollection, and maybe I'm wrong, is that they showed up with a new actor, and he just sort of waved us in, and yeah, I regenerated, and you didn't see much trauma there. It just had happened somewhere over the summer or something. Whereas a big part of this story is being shot, losing his memory, and dying, and being disoriented, and dealing with all of that. The old doctor, Tom Baker would walk in, I'm the doctor, and all of a sudden all these strangers looked to him for leadership and guidance, and they knew everything was going to be okay because the doctor was here. And they didn't even question his authority or his abilities. Whereas now we have a very damaged soul showing up, and he can't convince anybody that he could do anything. So he's got that kind of a hurdle to go through. I liked Grace, although I thought she was a little bit too jovial in many places. I would have liked her to be a little more serious and down to earth. But she was okay. I thought the characterization was okay on the whole. I don't have any serious problems with it. So, okay, let's go for another round. Let's talk about sets and costumes. I love that Ming the Magnificent costume. Just perfect. Sets, costumes, special effects, and window dressing and all that. Okay, starting at the top, KG5P. Mike, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. Well, okay, costumes, I think it already mentioned that the Ming the Merciless guy, he's also Genghis Khan, and, he might have been Ming the Merciless too somewhere in the past. Of course, Ming the Merciless was in the future. That was Flash Gordon, right? But, yeah, you can see there was a reboot of the Ming the Merciless guy with the high collar and all that. And it was also mentioned before about Doctor Who played the turn of the 19th century, or the turn of the 20th century British type H.G. Wells type character. The time machine had more gadgets than H.G. Wells, but then of course it was a later time. And then of course everything else was just contemporary costumes. So it was only the extraterrestrial characters that wore the weird costumes. Now, one thing that sort of came to mind about the Oriental gang wars in San Francisco. Now, this movie was made in 1996, but in the early 80s, I could be wrong, it might have been the late 70s, but there was a Chinese restaurant, which I'd actually been to in Chinatown, right off Grant Street, and some Chinese gangs started shooting at each other, and they ended up shooting a bunch of just civilians that just happened to be at the Chinese restaurant at the time. I don't think there have been any more gang wars in San Francisco since, but I think that was a definite reference back to the early 80s or late 70s shoot 'em up at the Golden Dragon there on Grant Street. In fact, a friend of mine was an attorney that he was actually working in an office building the next door when all that happened. But you can see where, you know, these different events, you know, the turn of the millennium and the Chinese gang wars of Chinatown, all those things are all cobbled together. And we didn't mention anything about special effects, but I think the special effects were as good as you could expect for a low-budget TV movie. So, and I guess I already mentioned about the costumes. Nothing spectacular there except for the Master and Doctor Who himself. Back to Ned. Before I start rambling, KG5P.
KG5PM, Tony.
That's pretty good. The costumes actually did feed into my favorite little plot point in the movie where the Doctor has to dress himself by racing through the staff lockers of staff who are going to a fancy dress party. That was a little spot of cleverness I liked. It was a cute touch. And I agree with Mike that the special effects really didn't detract from it. That was about as good as you're going to get out of an inexpensive TV movie. It is amusing how so much TV is now made in and around Vancouver that they might claim it's set in San Francisco, but the modern experienced TV or science fiction movie viewer will quickly notice, oh, this was shot in Vancouver. You just kind of pick up on it. Really, not a whole lot else to say. It, certainly didn't make anything worse. It didn't make anything better. It was all adequate, and I don't have too much to say. But I really do want to thank everyone who's been on this net, you, Brenda, and Frank, and others who know so much more about Doctor Who than I do. I really enjoyed hearing these better informed comments, because I can be kind of a Grinch, and I think the movies deserve it, but often other people know more, and it's fun to hear them. NT5TM.
KG5ZNJ. Go ahead, Frank.
This is KG5ZNJ. I'm gonna give you guys a Canadian pro tip, and that is how to spot if a movie is made in Canada or a TV series. There's a really easy way. You look at the mailboxes in the streets. In Canada, there's mailboxes everywhere, and they're very distinctive red mailboxes that say Canada Post. And once you know what they look like, you'll never not see them, because they apply anti-graffiti technology. And what they do is they basically have a camouflage pattern on them that's graffiti. And once you know what they look like, you'll spot them, and you'll know right away if a movie's made in Canada, because invariably there's going to be a Canadian mailbox in it, guaranteed. Anyway, let's think. Effects. I thought it was actually really good for what it was. Like people said, the special effects were definitely better than what I would have thought when you weigh it against the rest of the movie. So I thought they did a good job, and I thought the TARDIS itself was actually decently done. It had a steampunk style, which really hadn't been like that before, but it worked. It did work, and I thought it was okay, and I was okay with it being an old-time fan of it. So I thought they did a good job with, let's call it the art direction more than the special effects. And the costumes were good, I guess. The Ming the Merciless thing, that's kind of funny, and that's accurate. And here's another thing. Speaking of was it Buck Rogers? I forget. Ming the Merciless. Yeah. It's almost, the original show was a serial, and what I mean by that was there was always 4 episodes, 4 parts to an episode, so that you'd have 4 TV shows make one complete episode, and at the end of each of those TV shows, like the old-time radio serials of the 30s, it ends with a cliffhanger, always, and then, they'll pick it up where it left off, and they'll often change a few details that they didn't show on the cliffhanger, because the cliffhanger is always, the doctor's going to die, there's no way out, there's no plausible way you can escape. But then when they bring it back the next week, they show you something that they didn't show that you didn't know was going on, and that's how he gets out of being killed. So it was kind of funny. I just realized now that movie didn't have this. So that kind of took away from it. And but otherwise, yeah, special effects were fine, and I liked the art direction, and I did like the TARDIS. Back to net control, KG5ZNJ.
I guess it's because it's a standalone movie. But yeah, you're right. He's always about to die, but there'll be an episode next week, and it is kind of uncanny how he cheats death every single week. Okay, KE5ICX.
And I always like, and I may do this going forward, to be after Frank, because Frank has great comments. He's from Canada, and they have red mailboxes, so it's hard to disagree with him, and I'm not about to. But I'm going to agree with him on several things that I thought was really cool. I do like the steampunk look. That's what he said. I agree. And I have a soft spot for that 1940s look with, the jazz and big band sound in the background, including the record that skips. I like that a lot. I thought that was cool. I am a huge fan of big band jazz era stuff. I listen to it all the time and continue to, so maybe I need a time machine or something to go fix everything that goes along with it. Overall, I thought the look was great. I love the TARDIS and the steampunk look. It just was wonderful. It was a little too big for me. It's always bigger on the inside than the outside. Oh my God, this thing was gigantic. The bowling alley down on the left, and the auditorium for other time travelers to the right. The dungeon area, they don't talk about that. That was downstairs and to the right. You had to go past the roof. That was okay. The other parts, too, suggesting it was the year 2000, only 4 years away, was fine. That was good. The overall look and the chase scenes and everything looked fine. Very, typical of most television series today. I was good with that overall, although when you look at it, you begin to see things starting to kind of deteriorate into everyday stuff. I think probably one of the reasons why the series didn't make it, and it's easy to reflect because the 2005 series that came later on definitely did make it and continues to this day, is that you've got to offer your audience something a little above and beyond the whole idea about what the series, about what you're trying to project. Frank mentioned earlier, and I think a few others did too, about the formulaic plot. But let me just digress for a second and say something about a particular episode I remember. I think it was the opener for the second, I think it was the third season. Here it is. spacefaring, and I'm going by memory, spacefaring rhinos end up on Earth. They are decide that it's important they attack a hospital in England, always England, and take it to the moon. And on the moon, they provide a pressure seal, of which time the folks in the hospital have to figure out what the heck is going on. The doctor arrives to help them. Okay, that's a typical Doctor Who episode. We got more of a pedestrian version of Doctor Who in this movie. I mean, you explain that plot that I just gave you to anybody and they go, well, you're nuts. Well, Doctor Who is nuts. And I think when it's nuttier, the better it is. Like a Mars bar. So that's all I got for this evening. I enjoyed it. I haven't seen it in years. I saw it here when I first moved here. I think in 89. Oh, it's 96. I've been here for a while. Even I can't even time travel anymore. So I didn't mind it. I thought it was kind of fun and entertaining and a different take on Doctor Who. But I've seen better. Back to you, KE5I6.
Okay, some more nuts? I don't think they do. It says here it's chocolate, caramel, and nougat. Snickers have nuts. Okay, KC5OZT, Carolyn, go ahead.
Well, I will say there were a lot of special effects, and they seemed to be pretty well done. Some of the crowd scenes and stuff, I didn't, they weren't exactly clear what was going on, but as far as chase scenes and I have to admit that the phone booth, the scenes around that and the doctor and stuff, it was done pretty well. It's made me want to maybe look into watching some more of these KC5OZT.
Okay, W5EBB, David.
Well, I think for this movie, the mark of good special effects is that they're unobtrusive. I didn't really, thinking back, I didn't really recall particular scenes with fantastic special effects, but I know they were there, but the fact that they didn't really involve themselves or become the story kind of, I think, is a mark that they made effective use and limited use of special effects. The tech, being not real, not being a Doctor Who fan, the tech sounds like something that would be interesting, that it's not gadgetry, but more of an intrinsic, organic sort of technology, which could lend itself to a more effective storyline, I would think. And yeah, the record playing over and over until the grooves want then, and skipping back certainly plays into the whole timeline, but also kind of the repetition, I suppose, of it, which was kind of an interesting metaphor. The interesting prop that I thought was good was the Jacob's Ladder Frankenstein proxy, which looked like it comprised of the top half and the bottom half in a cylinder with these Jor-El-looking the krypton crystals converging down, and the intersecting, levitating circles of light or plasma was kind of interesting. That's the main special effect that I think I liked. W5EBB.
Okay, KG5EMN, go ahead.
This is KG5PMN. Special effects, I thought they were pretty good, probably for what they were, budgeted for. mainly toward the end when he was when the eye was opening and they were trying to get the master subdued or whatever, however you want to put that. Also, I thought that it was kind of interesting after he got reincarnated, got dressed, and then he's running around with the toe tag on, barefooted, trying to convince that doctor that he was who got resurrected out of the morgue, and he's barefoot with the toe tag on, and nobody picks up on that initially. I thought that was kind of funny. KG5DMN, back to the net.
Okay, I wonder if the doctor doesn't know about the trick of putting some little weight on your photograph needles to help with the skipping. Unless it's really bad, it does help some. And maybe I'm wrong about this, but did the surgeon leave her evening dress on while she performed surgery? You'd think she'd take her clothes off and put on scrubs. Maybe I misread that, but that's the way it looked to me that she had done. And I wasn't buying into the whole thing. The boyfriend had at the opera, and her buzzer goes off. She said, I have to go. Well, then he argues about it with her. She said, I'm on call. So if he's living with somebody who is a heart surgeon, he's going to have to accept that she's got to go save somebody's life once in a while, no matter that they're at the opera. But then he has the hissy fan moves out overnight and takes the couch, which is a little unbelievable to me. Special folks, I have no quarrel. They were okay. All right, we are kind of at the end here, so we'll open it up to anybody who has any other comment or would like to check in. Go ahead.
Whiskey 5 Zulu, Oscar.
So I didn't get my pen picked up fast enough. Please come again with that.
Whiskey 5 Zulu, Oscar.
Again, Whiskey 5 Zulu, Oscar. Is that correct? And your name, please.
That's correct. Whiskey 5 Zulu, Oscar, Andrew. Just checking in.
Checking in. Do you want to discuss the movie with us or just passive?
Well, that's actually a good question. I would actually probably like to question your... yes, go ahead.
Sorry, you're a little scratchy. You said you had a question?
Well, no, I didn't have a question, but I was just checking out on the validity of your, I don't know, what you were saying about the,
Okay, come again. The validity of what?
yes, sir. I was listening on your...
Okay, well, you faded out. Can you increase power or your position in some way? Okay, well, I think we're at an impasse here, but thanks for checking in. And does anybody else have a comment, question, or remark? Please come now, and we'll go on rotation and let you have a turn.
Kilo Golf Power. Closing remark.
KE5ICX.
5 EBB.
Okay, KG5P, Mike, go ahead.
Brenda's KG5P. Okay, I just had a remark. One thing I really love about this net, and we have so many people that are contributing so much, is that every once in a while somebody will say something that kind of catches my interest, and what caught my interest tonight was the mention of steampunk. And that leads me to suggest a movie. Now this, I guess you could call it science fiction, but you'll see what I'm talking about in a second here. The movie I'm referring to is the 1999 reboot of Wild Wild West. That's the one with Will Smith playing James West. And the steampunk was Dr. Lovelace's machine, which is just beautiful steampunk. In fact, that's really the main thing I remember about the movie. But I'd suggest maybe we could put that on the list, because it's super steampunk and certainly science fiction. So that was my comment. Back to net KG5P.
All right, well, talk to the boss. Maybe he'll consider putting it on the list. K5ICX, Tom.
Yeah, thanks, Brenda. Thank you for doing the net this evening. One of the things I wanted to mention is that there is a real love for Doctor Who. It goes back to November of 1963, and with short interruption, well, maybe not so short interruption, but I think it probably would have gone on continuously. It's the longest lasting science fiction show of all time. Even beyond Star Trek, and it is loved and continues to be loved, and it is in current production. I think it has a formula that really works, and it has to do with exactly some of the comments that were made earlier. I think Frank was one of them. Frank, I think, and David had some of the best comments about it. The series has an endearment. It has things going for it as far as the Doctor. He's immortal, or pretty much immortal. And he has people that come and they go, and he says hello and goodbye to them on a regular basis. And you think, oh my goodness, it's like us with pets. And he goes on these adventures, and he saves the universe I don't know how many darn times, including this episode or this movie. And I think that helps, and it transcends generations. I think people really find the character engaging. I wasn't a big fan until I was brought into it again by somebody who had an interest in it a few years ago, and then suddenly went, okay, I get it. So I have to say, I enjoy it. I still watch the current episodes pretty much in real time whenever possible, and I do enjoy it. I don't know why. I think it's because there's a warm familiarity and a character that is interesting, crazy, somewhat disjointed, but at the same time manages to figure this stuff out, which is most of my friends. Back to you, KE5ICX.
Yeah, there are a lot of fans. There's a British Emporium store somewhere in this area, and every year they have, in the fall, they have like a Doctor Who day, and my friends in my Sci Club have a TARDIS replica, and they dress as Doctor Who characters. I don't, because I just don't have a costume, and it's always on a date when I am busy at work. And, but if you're a Doctor Who fan, it's a fun event. You might check it out. All right, W5EBB, go ahead.
Thanks, Brenda. This is less of a comment, more of a question. I was looking for this particular 1996 movie on Amazon Prime just to see if I could catch it in nice high definition, but it wasn't on there. But the list goes on and on. If you look up Doctor Who, you get a gaggle of of returns, and of course it's up to season something teen, right? But to someone who's not familiar with Doctor Who, I want to ask the question: what movies or seasons or collections or specials would you recommend a neophyte of Doctor Who? What are some good ones? W5EBB. KG5ZNJ.
KG5ZNJ, go ahead.
Oh, that's a really good question. I think the really good ones are the ones from the 70s that are going to be John Pertwee and Tom Baker. Those are probably the best ones. They're very low budget, but I don't know, there's just something about them that's great. In particular, there's a few episodes that were written by the author of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. What was his name? Was it Douglas Adams or something like that? Anyways, those ones, if you Googled them, I forget. I know I have some of them on DVD here. Those are really good ones. They're very funny and they're very witty, and those are probably some of the better ones. So that's what you'd want to look for sure, I would think. The modern ones, I haven't really watched them. I think I watched one or two, and they were okay, and I do need to watch them. But I haven't watched enough of them to really give an opinion. But yeah, I would say the ones from the 70s, the entire 1970s are the ones you want to watch. Back to net control. KG5ZNJ.
Yeah, I agree. The classic ones, although some people today might find those tame, particularly younger market people that grew up on a lot of glitzy stuff, but they were more cerebral, although some of them I found tiresome, just chasing the Daleks in the same quarters back and forth and back and forth. To me, that got tedious. But there was something magical about those, and that's why it had a huge fan base. I haven't seen enough of the modern ones to tell you anything about it, but have a lot of fans, so that tells you something. Okay, anybody else have an opinion or a comment?
Lots of down here.
Session is kicking in very scratchy. Can you try again?
Lots of opinions out here.
Sorry, I'm just not copying you. Did anybody else get that? I'm so sorry. It's just not working. Well, I think we're done. It's almost midnight, so we had 9 people participating tonight. I appreciate everybody's comments and willingness to jump in and give some wonderful comments. So we need to talk about next week. KE5ICX. What do you have?
Thank you, Brenda. It was interesting for this particular movie. Facebook got kind of cranky about it, so I didn't update like I normally do over on the list of movies because the last time I tried an update and kept Daily Motion in it, it deleted everything, so I left it alone. So I had a couple of weeks where we didn't have to think about anything, but to make long and short of it, I thought, well, let's do another theme for the month. So this one is not ready for prime time, These are science fiction stories that have been done on the internet. Now you're going, oh, geez, these are terrible. No, there are some good ones. They've just not been released commercially. So the first one we're going to do Well, we're going to try, and yes, I have included movies that people have suggested. If we can get them and watch them for over air for free, then we'll do it. But the one that I think is particularly interesting is Star Trek Next Voyages, or New Voyages, and it's called Fairest of Them All. Fairest of Them All. This is a sequel episode to Mirror Mirror from, I think it was the second season of Star Trek. You're going, oh, this is going to be terrible. You'll be surprised. It's a Mirror Universe episode done really well, better than most Mirror episodes done in Star Trek through the years. So that'll be it. I will have it all posted and updated tomorrow morning. If you would like to be informed via email, just send an email to me, Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, KE5ICX @yahoo.com. I will add you to the list, and I will send you the latest movie and link so that you too can watch it. So that's it from me. Next week's movie is Fairest of Them All, from, I guess, about 3 years ago, KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom, and this is WB5OZL closing out the net at 23:57:58, and we will see you next week. WB5OZL clear.
Oh, very good net. Brenda, good job. Tom, KE5ICX, are you still there? KG5P.
I can find it on pedal. Yes, I'm here. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Tom, you had mentioned a 50s movie, if we'd seen it or not. I don't believe we've seen it. I'd forgotten the name of the movie, but it was maybe going back to the roots here, to our roots. Schlocky 50s movies. I would like to do that one too. You know the title is KG5P.
Yeah, Mike, I was trying to look for it. You know, I do this whole production thing, so it's like trying to figure out where it was, and that was the next one I was going to do. And while we're going into the new year, so this is one that I knew existed and was online. So yeah, it is in the list. I'm going to update everything, and I'm going to put it in there. So I agree with you. I'm a big fan of the 50s movies, and we will continue to do that. I'm just kind of mixing it up a little bit. And that was a film that I saw, and I thought looked pretty good quality, and it's definitely on the list. If I haven't updated it, it will be on the list.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I was kind of looking forward to that. So I'll say 73 is tall, and we'll see you next week, KG5D.
Okay, Mike, and I agree with you. That would, well, I could still make that the next film. That's no big deal. I don't mind. I just got to find it because I didn't update the list like I normally do, so I just have to throw something out there. Maybe we can do that. I don't mind either way. It works for me. Maybe I'll just put it out there and I'll send it through the email because it looks like it's a good film. I just can't remember what it's called. It's, of course, another spaceship to the moon or Mars or somewhere. Let me go find it. I'll sort it out in the morning. KE5ICX.
Okay, well, I've got it too, Tom. It's in my notes. And, you know, if it's available out there, I'll be able to find it out there somewhere, if it's out there. And there's no reason to think that it's not. So I'll look for it too. So anyway, we'll see you later. KG5P clear.
Okay, Mike, no problem. And if you go to the Afterglow movie, 2 words, Afterglow and movie, there is a list that's there, and it has that info in it. I've put links to movies. Some of them are old now. We've seen them, and I have to try and update them. But I think it's there, or it is, oh, I know, it's listed in one of the notes or comments that I put up if we'd seen the movie or not. That's fine. I can put that one up. I have no problems with it. I just like finding new and different stuff, and that's one we've not seen, and it falls into the new and different category. So I'll check it. I can make that the next movie. It's no big deal. You know, we're going to see them all eventually, and then we die. It's a good day to die. KE5ICX.
Good day to die.
You can try again, and you're hard to understand. Try again. If you can speak a little louder, go ahead.
I just heard you said it's good day to die.
Okay, I didn't get any of that. Okay, I want to close down. I've been doing this forever this evening, so it was a long net or two. So I'm going to say 7th Street, everybody. Thanks for your participation. As always, don't tell anybody else that this is my favorite net. This is KE5ICX, and I'm clear. Bye-bye.
This is KG5ZNJ to the person that asked about the good episodes. I'm starting to remember some of the good ones. One of the good episodes that's broken down into, I think, 6 of them. It was called The Key to Time. That was a really good one. And the other one that I remember now is The Armageddon Factor. That was another set of episodes. And those are the 2 that you really want to see from the 70s, and they'll give you an idea if you like the series or not. If you don't like those, you won't like any of the other ones. So those are 2 really good ones to get. I know I have them here in the house on DVD somewhere. I bought a set, many sets of these. So I have a lot of the old episodes on DVD, just all in storage. I should dig them all out. Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there. KG5ZNJ clear.
All right, thanks for that. The Key to Time and the Armageddon Factor. I'll look those up myself. Thank you very much. W5EBB, clear.
Time is 12:05 a.m.
Alpha Golf 5, Papa Charlie. If you're looking for another good movie it's difficult to find, 3 Brave Men.
KC5 Papa Charlie, I think I got most of it. 3 Brave Men, SF series, science fiction, something else. Go ahead.
Yeah, Alpha Golf 5, Papa Charlie. Yeah, 3 Brave Men. It's a story about a guy who works he's a civilian contractor for the Navy, and he's accused of being a communist. And what it takes to get his security clearance back.
All right, thanks. You were very weak into the repeater earlier. I think I recognize you from earlier. I'll check it out. We do mostly science fiction type of stuff, but we've been known to do other things too, so I'll go and check it out. 3 Brave Men. That's not a film I'm familiar with. And I'm a film buff personally. Not everything ends up on this net because it doesn't fit the parameters, but I am huge motion picture fan, so if it's something I haven't seen, I'm very game. If you think it's a good one, I'll watch it. Thanks very much. KE5ICX. W5FC.
Yeah, it stars Ernest Borgnine, so it's kind of an oddball film to start with.
really interesting, and of course he's gone now, but he was very entertaining. Yeah, I can see him doing that. Of course, what was it? McHale's Navy. He used his colorful character persona for that, and then was the lead in that. So, yeah, I'm cool with that. I'll check it out. 3 brave men. I'll find it somewhere and I'll watch it. Certainly, it'd be cool. Thanks very much. Can I get your name? AG5PC from KE5I6.
Roger, the handle is Al, Alpha Lima.
Okay, Al, Alpha Lima, this is Tom, Tango Oscar Mike, KE5ICX, and appreciate you checking in. You may have tried earlier, and I didn't hear you, and appreciate it very much that you're here. You're welcome to check in on this net. Sometimes the signal is just so weak, there's no way you can do anything. It's just like, I don't know what to do, even on reverse. So appreciate you checking in, or at least making comments here at the end. We're here every night, every Saturday night at 10:30 for this net. We usually go to midnight. This is no exception. And we always have an interesting conversation about movies. So, and television for that matter. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. KE5ICX.
Alpha Golf 5, Papa Charlie, hold clear.
Al, KE5ICX, clear.